not here just missed the last little section of notes. So leave this here for a second. And then while we go and watch the demo that they're going to miss, I'll put it up to here so they can copy those notes down if they're not here. Let's pop out for one last demo out to the lab. Come on.
So greasy.
So we have the halogens. Oh, there we go. Highlighter, pink. Color purple in honor of iodine.
The other one's in purple.
When we went down the alkali metals, did it get more reactive or less reactive as we went down? More reactive. But as we go down with fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, does it get more reactive or less reactive? Less. When we cross this staircase line, it actually, the reactivity switches. Can anyone think of as why? Yep.
Because it goes from like -4 to down towards neutral.
It is getting closer to the side. But what is it trying to be? Not neutral. It needs a full valence shell. So what do they tend to become? Negative. And what are the alkali metals trying to become? Positive. So they're trying to give up electrons. They're trying to give them away. They're trying to attract new ones. As you go down, what happens to the size of the atom? Larger. And not due to the nucleus. Yeah, that's a little larger. But you're adding more shells. And so it's... Oh, right. Sorry. I was like, something's dinging. I've never heard that alarm. Did I do something in the lab? They have the... Yeah, the back of the... Doing something with panels.
It's in there. I saw people in there doing something. Like to the left.
Yeah, I closed both doors so it doesn't annoy me as much. So if you're trying to give up electrons, and you're trying to give them away, the more you have and the larger you are, the easier it is. Like, if you have like 8 children, I'm assuming it's much easier and less of a loss if you just lose one. And it goes away. They still got 7. It's probably still an A or something, or at least a high B. Whereas if you only have 1, or you need another one, like here, they get larger. They're trying to give one away anyway. Too many mouths to feed. And so it gets easier and easier the more you have. But if you're trying to attract more, let's say, I don't know, it's the 18th century and you run a chimney sweep operation, so you need lots of little tiny children to crawl into the chimneys and clean out all the soot. When you already have a lot and everybody can see the terrible working conditions, probably it's really hard to convince another one. But if you only have a few, well, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, hey kid, I'll pay you a shilling to crawl into this chimney and get cancer. Apparently the cancer rates on their fingers from crawling in the chimneys were very high because of all the soot that would get embedded in inside. Yeah. If you read into the, never mind, you don't want to read into the diseases of what happened. Because of everything that would get scraped, things like testicular cancer was also quite high for those little children. They would get diseases of old people because they're exposed to so much toxicity. It was bad. And then we made laws to protect children. But luckily, someone saw through that as going against those laws. And recently, in the last 5 years, we've seen more and more laws to remove protections from children from working. Because it's important. Not in China. Laws in China are actually going more protective.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like Timu and Shein
Yeah.
and stuff.
No. Okay. Reactivity then for the halogens. These are also very reactive. Less reactive down the family. Whereas the alkali metals were more reactive down the family. And that was also true of the alkaline earth metals. Clone. There we go. And I'll just drag that over there. Yeah, there we go. So, less reactive, more reactive. And just, I like Chem 11 for this because Chem 11 you finally get into the details of why, and it just has to do with their size. The larger they are, and the farther they away from the nucleus, and the more people in between, the easier it is to let one go when you need to let one go. It has a lot of nice analogies. There's a reason. The youngest child in the family is often more outgoing and more active than the eldest child in terms of psychology. Because the eldest child, there was a time in their life where they were the only one that mattered. And they got listened to. And their parents respected what they said, a little bit. And then when the youngest child was born, nobody really listened to them because there was an older person around who had been used to the previous attention. They get babied a lot more, but of course they have to be louder to compete from the very moment they're born. And they change their psychology to adapt to that situation. Not true in every family is a little different, but in terms of average psychology, it works quite often. And then of course if you have more than 2 children, the middle one tends to be the most ignored because neither the baby nor the eldest, and so they often have to end up negotiating between the two. But as an eldest, I know all of the other ones don't matter because I was first. I am the heir. And of course, you hate the younger ones because they got everything earlier than you did. Less reactive down the halogens. These are also colorful gases. Fluorine and chlorine are gases at room temperature, but they're all colorful gases if you heat them up. Yeah.
Let's say very reactive.
Very reactive. I mean, fluorine will eat its way right through glass. It's the most reactive chemical I think it's the most reactive element, for sure.
But don't you put, I guess it's fluoride.
And with,
Because
because it's so reactive. Because one of the weird things about reactivity is once they reacted, if it's something super reactive, once it's reactive, it's often very stable. So the calcium in your teeth, especially in the enamel, is calcium chloride. Bacteria have evolved to eat it. If you brush your teeth with fluoride, the fluoride is so reactive it replaces the chloride. So now you have calcium chloride bonds. The bacteria find that very difficult to break, and so you don't get cavities as much. Now, if you soak your teeth in fluoride and replace all the calcium, not the calcium, the chlorine with the fluoride, you'll get brown teeth. And they will become so hard that they become brittle. They cannot be broken. But if you hit too hard, they'll shatter. I know someone, before fluoride toothpaste, when they first realized this, and they realized this because they went around the world and they're like, we have a problem because we've learned to domesticate wheat, or at least wheat learned to domesticate us, whatever. And now we're eating lots of bread and sugar, and our teeth are rotting out of our face. We need to fix this. We are science. So they went around the world trying to find anybody that fixed the problem. They found a number of tribes and indigenous groups that just naturally had great teeth. And in some cases, it was just diet. Just don't eat a lot of carbs, and you don't get a lot of tooth decay because that's what they feed on. And they're like, okay, but we really like our carbs. I mean, donuts are amazing, so obviously we can't change your diet. And then other groups ate carbs and they also didn't get cavities. And so they studied them intensely, what are their personal habits, and it turns out it's because they happened to live near a river that naturally had fluoride in it. So they took it back, and people would take just cups of water, add fluoride, mix it around, rinse out their mouth, spit it out, before the advent of toothpaste and fluoride. I know someone, when they were young, their mom did that with them, and they miscalculated the concentration. They just read the package wrong, and their teeth went brown. But it was sort of like, it was enough fluoride to make it go a bit brown, but not enough to make it brittle. He's never had to worry about a cavity in the day of his life. His teeth are hard enough that they never seem to get attacked. He could brush his teeth, not brush his teeth. He brushes his teeth solely so he doesn't get bad breath. He doesn't have to worry about his teeth. But they are brown, so it looks a little weird.
Could you not just do that and then whiten your teeth?
Whitening your teeth weakens your teeth.
Could you not like balance it out?
Yeah, but it literally, like, whitening your teeth removes part of your teeth. It is taking stuff out and it's making it whiter and bleaching it as well. Whitening your teeth can also make your teeth more sensitive to things like cold, so if you whiten your teeth off, you may not be able to enjoy ice cream as much. It looks nicer, but you are weakening your teeth usually. Whitening processes and bleaching processes are fairly harsh chemical processes. Just paint them.
With
Just put a
nail
little paint on
polish.
them. You'll be good. More reactive down the family. Alkaline metals, colorful gases, properties of metals. The loneliest one. Whoa, hold it. Where was hydrogen?
Of course.
You should always use lead paint on your teeth.
Oh, there's hydrogen. It is. It's so true. No, zero can't be lonely because zero is nobody. There we go. Okay. What is the valence shell of hydrogen?
What? It has one.
One electron. So, one electron, but when is it full? Full of two electrons. So what ions does it form? Plus one or minus one ions. If it forms plus one, that's acid, as we've learned. Therefore, on both sides, of periodic table, unique among elements, because it's a family of one. It doesn't really belong in any particular family because of that uniqueness that it has. It's reasonably reactive. I mean, it forms acid. You can burn it and pop it. So reactivity, yes. It's a clear gas. As you saw, we made a bubble. We labeled the transition metals. Valence shell varies. Yep.
Also, why when you put fire into the pure hydrogen, does it like make the, does it like this extinguish it and make a sound?
Why does it chirp?
Yeah.
It's because of the way it burns. It makes a pop, like it all goes very quickly, and it doesn't burn. When you burn slow, you make more of a whoosh. It burns so quickly that when you put it in glass, so it's also a function of earth chemistry. We put things in glass, and that's essentially a musical instrument. So if it pops in glass, you get a chirp because it's vibrating the glass. The boron group. If you turn to your page with the periodic table, how many valence electrons does the boron group have? Three electrons. So, what kind of ions does it form?
Negative. Or like anions.
Boron? Not quite boron. Not yet.
Oh yeah, I guess positive it has.
Well, yeah, plus 3 ions. How many, the tetrals, how many electrons in its valence group? 4 electrons. What kind of ions does it form? Pardon? Positive or negative? Positive or negative what? Plus 4 or minus 4. The nitrogen group, how many in its valence shell? 80? Ready? No, I was more with the hands in your pockets. We're not too much farther from. Pardon? No. How many electrons does it have in its valence shell? 5 electrons. So that would form minus 3 ions. And then the oxygen group. 6. I think that is it. Is there a page that anybody else needs that I didn't finish on? Oh, we locked those up. That is it for Chemistry 10. We're going to start Biology 10. I think if I just gave you a stack of notes of Biology 10 right now, you'd probably go a little spare because we've been looking around the room and you paid attention very well in the last few minutes, last hour. You probably need a little bit of break. So take 5 minutes. You can grab your phone if you want. There's only 2 phones in there, I noticed, so you can take it out of your pockets if you want. And then I'll give you a little time on the lab, and then we might actually start biology. But take 5 minutes now, give yourself a mental break.
Thanks, Lucas.
Because do I have to fix that notes to give you? Yeah. You can't sing most Monty Python songs. It's cool. Yeah. Have you seen The Meaning of Life?
Question. Are you saying you want to do Falcon and then 5 Falcon?
You see, especially in Star Wars. Star Wars is the worst, and probably because its roots, when George Lucas was making the Star Wars movie, to get funding. Because after, what was it called? American, can't remember, his first movie he became really famous for. It's a coming of age, touching story about American life. And he wanted to do this space movie. So he's trying to convince investors. And so he's got mocked up scenes. And then in between, to show what he would have, he would just have, he cut out bits of World War II movies of dogfights to show what he wanted to do. And that was his conception of what space battle would be like. He wasn't a very good science fiction author. He was a movie maker.
I'm
So,
sure you could make it work, but they didn't make it properly.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, because when they're flying, there's like a lot of them, they're always oriented, like there's an up and a down, where they should be like random. You don't, if you're turning in space, you don't have to bank. You just rotate. And yes, you're still going, but you rotate and adjust your thrust to whichever direction you wanted to go.
Yeah.
So, like, if you've ever seen, it's an old show now.
So, like, couldn't you technically use, like to turn, you could use, like, thrusters on the sides
Mm.
and the bottoms and stuff?
The
But
sh-
they didn't use that.
No, they didn't.
So it
The-
doesn't make sense.
The show, the more recent show that does that, what's it called? About they have a Martian colony, and there's stuff from space that takes over people. Not Equilibrium.
I won one more chance. Obviously, you've never played Kerbal Space Program.
It was on Amazon.
Damn,
It just ended a couple years ago. Really good series
Interstellar.
with good no, that's a movie.
Was it like they landed on a planet?
It's about like it's humanity in our solar system in the future. We have colonized Mars. Mars underwent a revolution and threw off its Earth oppressors and separated as their own nation because they felt they were being taken advantage of. And there's been a Cold War between Mars and Earth. Not sounding familiar.
Mr. Newfield, I looked at Doctor Who on Google and I found that Google has a Doctor Who game, like one of the built-in browser games. Kind of.
The Expanse. If you haven't read The Expanse is a great book series. It would be right, actually, if you wanted to read it now, it would be, I think a lot of you might like it, if you like that sort of thing. And the show itself, The Expanse, is really good because it does actual space combat well. Ships rotate, fire in different directions as they're moving. Because if you're a ship, you don't have to like turn to face them. You could be going that way, rotate, shoot as you go across, and then rotate back. Like that. Battlestar Galactica, the new one, which is now old, is another good one. They do good space combat. Because they're flying towards each other, but there's no banking. As soon as they pass, they just rotate and keep firing as they're going backwards.
It's like, yeah, you could like use like thrusters that like
Mhm,
boost things
mhm.
up. But in Star Wars they don't make it like that. They just make it that it turns.
New ones, they show that a bit more, and they come up with the problem with Star Wars is people make movies that are so dumb sometimes in what they show in terms of just hire one science fiction author to give it some realism. But anyway, and then like some of the shows and the books fix it so well. Like they come up with explanations that make sense. What I really liked was one version is Space Combat where they talked about half the combat isn't just the ships firing on each other, but it's the AI computers trying to hack into each other's network. Because if you can get to the other ship's network, because they're networked in space and they have to be communicating, if you can hit that, then of course that would win the battle as well. Because something that large is obviously going to be controlled by computer. The whole premise of Battlestar Galactica is that there was a AI uprising, and so all the ships are hardened, and none of them have any kind of smart computers. They have wires, electricity, and programs, but everything is hardwired, so you like pull levers and press buttons. Because they had an experience with AI and it went badly. The Cylons attacked.
AI.
Yeah.
If you're in space, even if you're on a spaceship, is it still zero gravity?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
I mean, you
why
can.
in Star Wars
Unless
is everyone just walking?
Well, same in Star Trek. They have gravity generators. I mean, one thing that they all have to invent to make shows look realistic is they have to have some sort of conceit by which they have managed to invent a system to generate
Because
gravity.
you can't.
And to be honest, if you can generate gravity, you can do a lot of cool things in space. So that explains a lot of the powerful technology they have. It's one of the reasons why Star Trek beats any other spacefaring TV show
Doctor Who.
Okay, okay.
at all.
I
Like
see
blows
Star
them out of
Wars
the water.
is
Because in
about
addition
that.
to its gravity manipulation, it also has transporters, which just makes it OP
Or
at every
kill
level.
boss.
Yeah, it could take out anybody at any time.
You just go in it and you stop being simple.
And if you're into Warhammer 40k, they are such a weak faction because half their stuff doesn't work and the other half has to kill 10,000 people to make it work.
Yeah, speaking of space, do you disagree with every video of like around Earth? Like you believe that the Earth is flat?
Well, of course it's flat. We've seen pictures from space. We know it's flat.
Yeah, I think the Earth is flat.
Yeah, see? Amy agrees.
Scientists
Wait,
agree.
let me see.
That's my man.
Aiden, what's your grade in this class?
That was rude.
Yeah.
That was
You should mark
rude.
his grade.
And I would say, Aiden got a very good report. He works hard. I like
He
Aiden.
does. I think he's
I think these images are like AI
Doctor
generated.
Who on his own.
No, those aren't real pictures. Okay, when you look at a picture, get a real picture, like a NASA picture of Earth from space. Okay? Let's clear this up
Don't go on
once
this
and
like,
for all.
don't go on this rant right now.
Okay.
Just-
No. People need to know the truth. Okay?
So how do you expect?
No. Find a real picture, Earth from space.
No.
What does it look like?
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. It looks curved, which is what you would expect if it was flat.
But look.
Okay, sure.
No, let me explain.
Around.
You know that. Okay, I'll start back. Sorry, I'll start back. What is a black hole?
It is a
Something
place
sucking
in
No,
stuff.
yeah.
The black hole, it like absorbs like matter.
Absorbs matter and light, hence the black part. Gravity is so strong that light will bend towards a black hole, fall in, and never come out. Regular planets also bend light. All gravity bends light. It's just a black hole that goes in and never comes out. We use gravitational lensing, for example, to take pictures of very far in space, because some areas will naturally bend the light, and we will actually be able to see it more. So we know that gravity bends light. Does Earth have gravity? Yeah. So have you ever seen like a fun mirror where the mirror is all wavy?
Yeah.
It makes straight lines look curved. If Earth is bending the light, then as you get further from the Earth, it would appear more and more round. So when you're on the Earth, does it appear flat? Yes. As you go further and further away, does it appear more and more round? as the light has more and more time to bend? Also, yes.
Why would it bend?
So it
on
looks
flat
exactly
surface?
as it would if it was flat.
See, that's exactly
Didn't
what I
you
was
used to
gonna
run a website called the
Listen.
Flat Earthers Society or something?
Why do ships appear to sink when they go over the horizon?
I believe I have just explained that.
Because they fall
If
off the edge of the earth.
You are a
Yeah.
person and you are watching, say, a ship. And the light, I'm going to over exaggerate as you're watching it go away, and the light, bends slightly and hits your eye, so you can see the top of the ship, right? Let's group that. But as the ship goes further and further away, the light has more time to bend. And so the bottom of the ship would be the first to disappear as it gets farther and farther away. So you would expect on a planet with gravity and light
No,
for
it's obviously
ships to
because
gradually disappear as they went away from you.
Well,
Except
then
it's not
obviously
possible for
it's because it falls
No,
off
no,
the
no.
end of the world.
No, that was
it's
a
not
trick.
possible for
Wait, so
the.
the Earth isn't flat?
Pardon?
It's not possible for to hold a disc shape when it has enough gravity to bend light. It requires a lot of to bend
It requires Earth's amount of gravity to bend light.
Yes, but how would it hold a disc shape? Rocks aren't strong enough to do that. Why is every other
Hold it.
planetoid in a spherical shape? Even Pluto,
Because
which is small,
we're
is a
we're
sphere.
we're not a planet.
Yes, but you just said any planet. You just
Any planet with gravity.
Planet.
We have enough mass to have gravity, but we're also at the center of the universe. That's why the sun goes around us.
Now, do you prove that his arguments are satire?
What? No. The reason you wouldn't go off the edge is not because poor Grayson just said, is that a lie? No, you wouldn't go over the edge because, as you just pointed out, the gravity would be quite strong. If you have a spherical body that from the edge, like this is round, but if you rotate it like this, then as soon as you try and pop over the edge, all of that gravity acts on you at once, and you pop back up. It's actually impossible to
What?
jump off of the edge of a flat Earth.
Would-
Yeah, you'd get stuck to the side at most,
Yes.
and then just crawl back up.
How do you get to the?
Wait, so how do
If
you
the
go
Earth's
around
flat,
Then,
how do
then
you
explain
get?
me this. Tell me
No,
this.
no, Graham started, yeah.
If the Earth is flat, how do you get to the end? The gravitational pull wouldn't let you.
Oh, it would be very difficult. Here's an interesting fact, though, because this is wild. So we have the flat Earth. The north is in the middle, of course, and the south is the circumference, right? So here we have North America, South America, Europe, and Russia, and China, and Africa is probably here.
That's not
Keep in
accurate.
mind, my geography is very bad. However,
And you claim to know the shape of the Earth.
If-
you don't know the shape of the land.
and you can look this up, not kidding. If you take a spherical model of the Earth, where it is spinning, and you have the North Pole and the South Pole, and this is known as the Arctic and the Antarctic, there is one scientific body, the U.S. Geological Survey, that has research stations here. It is the only U.S.-run scientific body that is also international. They have countries from all over the world that join them in studying that area. If you take this map of where those random areas are and you map it on a flat Earth with this, you will find, to any degree of accuracy that you want, that those research stations occur every 200 miles exactly.
How would they get to the end of the world?
And if you go here, like you are thinking, oh, it's just a round Earth, and you try and get to the South Pole, their job is to stop you. They will not let you get there.
Yeah, because
It is almost as if having access to the edge gives you a huge space advantage. Every nation that's joined that geological survey has achieved space flight within 2 years. That is just a historical fact.
Here, I have a
cruise ship
question.
to Antarctica.
No, to Antarctica. You can go to the edge, you can't get to the South Pole.
Because it's a continent that is a solid desert. It is
Yeah,
inhospitable.
they will not allow you to
And
go
there was
there.
a man who just ran across the South Pole.
No, he didn't. Any track that you do, you will find he did the equivalent of, and then he came back. He never actually went to there. You can track that.
This Mr.
They
Newfeld,
don't.
Mr.
They will let you go a little ways, and then they stop you. Yes?
Okay, but why would every planet in our solar system be round except for Earth?
Gravity pulls it into a ball,
No,
obviously.
no, yeah. So why wouldn't it do that with Earth?
We're the center. Our gravity is a little bit different.
We're not the center of the
Gravity-
solar.
Of course, we're the center. Have you heard of redshift
What?
and blue shift?
No.
Okay. The speed
Liam.
of light is constant, right?
Expansion of the universe.
Yeah, the speed of light is constant.
Yeah.
So if you're here and you're running that way, 5 kilometers an hour,
Okay.
and there's a car going away from you at 60 kilometers an hour, from your perspective, how fast is that car moving?
65.
65. But if light is moving away from you at speed c, and you are moving away at, say, 0.1 c, how fast does light seem to be moving? If it's going at 1 c and you're doing 0.1.
1.1.
And the answer is it cannot appear to be going 1.1. That was what Einstein proved. Nothing goes faster than light, not even light, not even the appearance of light. So what happens is the light gets what's called red shifted. Instead of looking like a wave like this, because it's moving away from you at the speed of light and you're moving away, that gets pulled apart and it looks like it's going the same speed, but it has a longer wavelength. It's called red shifted because red has a longer wavelength than blue. Blue shifted is when it's coming towards you. Every object in the universe is red shifted compared to Earth, which means everything is expanding away from us. We are the center of the universe.
So the Earth's flat.
What?
Yeah, thank you
One
for that
percent of
conclusion.
this.
Now, last one, and I want everybody's attention for this because this is something you should ask your physics teachers next year. And if you haven't been paying attention, this does not prove that the Earth is flat, but it does imply that you should check some of your facts because I've often said in this class at the very beginning, you should not trust anyone, including me, independently. Lots of teachers have biases. I'm sure you notice that some teachers have political biases or religious bias or just Mr. Neufeld thinks that the Earth is flat bias. Don't believe me? I'm happy with that. One second. So we have the Earth, and we have the Moon, and so we have an Earth-Moon system. Where is the high tide?
I just did a whole unit on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Where's the high tide?
Closest to the moon?
Closest to the Moon. Why?
Because of the pole?
Because the Moon pulls the water towards it, giving a high tide. We know that. We've been told the story as children in our baby physics class in grade 3. However, you look in any physics textbook, literally any physics textbook, and you will see there's an equal and opposite tide on that side. Is there a moon here? No. You will find there is absolutely no explanation for that. None. They lied about the reason, hoping that you wouldn't notice, but they can't lie about the data. Now it's easily explained with a bending and folding of a flat Earth, but not so easily explained with a round Earth. And I don't say this proves the flat Earth. It could be that there could be something else, but it does imply that if you don't know why there's a high tide there, perhaps there's something else going on that you should have been paying more attention to, and not quite trust everybody in the entire world is trying to teach you. How does that work? And if you go ask any physics teacher here, they'll say, and I almost quote, "Shut up and stop listening to Mr. Neufeld." They will not tell you the reason.
I'm just gonna go text my sister and say I just argued for 20 minutes with Mr. Neufeld about flat Earth.
Yeah, before you go, I just realized since we only have a minute, I won't actually start biology, but you'll get to feel the nice handout. I made it colorful.
Neufeld, you didn't
You
even
won't put
give.
away your binders. I just
no, you
realized
didn't even
this is
give
probably the
Graham
most
one.
annoying thing in the world.
You didn't even give him one.
How did I miss you?
Extra
I just missed you. I missed you, Graham. You're welcome.
I'm gonna tell my sister I just had a totally
Have I
argument
sufficiently
with Mr. Neufeld about flat Earth.
Yeah, but if the Earth is
I'll just be brief.
rockets would
Brief
fly
is
straight
crazy.
instead of forward if they fly.
Okay.
If they fly just yeah.
Oh, just to be clear,
How do you fly from like
because this has happened before.
Asia?
If your parents ever caught fine.
Wait, is this? Wait.
Just wait for me.
Yeah, I'll wait
Except
for
if
you
you ever
outside.
go to
Oh,
a
it's
thing
tutorial
called
today.
Springtime
It is
or
tutorial.